Hey there, AfterBuzzers. Welcome back to the Good Doctor After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. Tonight's episode was full of emotion. There was guilt, paranoia, relief, and complete happiness. Also, Shaun is a surgeon, and he is here to make sure Dr. Han knows it. We have a lot to talk about, so don't go anywhere because the Good Doctor After Show starts right now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey, all of you Good Doctor fans, thank you so much again for tuning in to the Good Doctor After Show tonight. We are so excited to have you back. Tonight, we are breaking down Season 2, Episode 17, Breakdown. Joining me today, as always, we have the lovely Jaimi Alexander.
Thank you, girl. What's going on, y'all? Jaimi Alexander in the building, ready to start this show.
Yeah, and I'm Veronica Valencia. Coming up later in the show, we're going to be talking all about Shaun and his journey in pathology, still wanting to be a surgeon, Lim and Melendez kind of sort of coming to the surface with their relationship, as well as the patient with a 100-pound tumor. My gosh. But before we get into any of that, Jaimi, what were your overall thoughts on tonight's episode?
Okay, so I couldn't wait to talk about my overall thoughts because this was one of my favorite shows of like The Good Doctor ever. They were hitting us with scene after scene after scene. I was crying, laughing, astonished, and everything, and the credits weren't even done. Mm-hmm. We got so many amazing little scenes and interactions. It was just so witty and complete. I wildly enjoyed this episode as a whole.
I agree. I thought this episode was so strong. It was a roller coaster for me because 1 minute I was completely upset with everything that's going on with Shaun and then his breakdown in the very last moments with the episode. But then I was completely ecstatic because finally Glassman gets some great news. And then of course there's just, you know, happiness and like giddiness with Lim and Melendez. So I was all over the place, which was, I didn't know which way to go, but I love that it just kept me guessing and on my toes, and it kept me feeling things with every single storyline that it presented.
Yes.
And so speaking of storyline, let's go into probably the most emotional, maybe I would say, storyline of the night, which is Shaun and still his journey in pathology. What did we think about his, you know, journey in pathology, but as well as him still wanting to be a surgeon and proving himself, but Dr. Han still not giving him any slack?
Yeah, I don't know how much more I can take of this, so I'm gonna need you guys to ease up because my stomach hurts, I cry, it's too much for me to watch him go through this, and I don't know what my attachment is to it that makes me feel so overwhelmed every time I see it going through it. I have such a soft spot for Shaun, so this hurts. You know, he's losing sleep, which is sad, and then he decided to walk to the office. He's still fighting for this space that, you know, undoubtedly he deserves. It's just really hard to watch Han. I like that I'm starting to understand more of who Han is, and I don't totally think he's like a crap character. I just get angry with him because he's very cold. And I guess maybe that's how you have to be when you're in a position of power at times, just very kind of removed from the situation.
See,
but it's sad.
It's interesting that you say that because granted, we never saw too much of Dr. Andrews, but I don't think Dr. Andrews had that same personality when he was in charge of the hospital.
Oh wait, Andrew. Oh no, Andrews. Andrews offered a little bit of balance. I'd have to agree with that. Like where he was listening and understanding, and kind of he put the reins in the hands of his team more often. He was much more trustworthy of the team. So I agree with you on that.
So do you think Dr. Han is just more control? He's all about control. He kind of wants to create a team of perfect surgeons. In his eyes, what he thinks perfection is?
I mean, I think he made up his mind and he's not changing it. It's that simple. He made up his mind and that's just it. He's not, there is nothing, I thought for sure he would bend.
By now, at least, because he has been given kind of reason after reason why Shaun is a good surgeon, because Shaun has proven himself. Every episode there's something that comes up, whether it's Claire coming in with like a stackload of cases of this is what Shaun has done for us, or even this episode with his, you know, save in the surgery room.
Again, Shaun is always saving in the surgery room, and don't get me wrong, I think pathology is great, but like I was kind of saying last week, and I kind of mentioned this and we kind of got a little bit of it here, but like, is there some way to toggle between the two? So he came in and consulted on the tumor and of course again was right. However, I do see his value in pathology as well. But bottom line is that's not where he wants to be. And I know this is a fictional character, but I'm so passionate about it. Like I'm legit upset It's hard to watch him struggle like this.
It's very hard to watch him struggle like this. And I think I even brought this up last week. I think it also just, it hurts kind of almost on a personal level too for some people, because it's like, say an actor, for example, where they feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. I am supposed to be an actor. And it's just rejection and people throwing in your face that you can't do this. It's kind of similar to that. And so it's like Shaun is clearly gifted and is a capable surgeon. He just needs a little bit of help and growth in other aspects of the job. And to have Dr. Han just throw in his face after one time working with him, you're not capable, and him consistently saying, you're not capable, you're not good enough, it hurts.
It does.
And for some people, that can hurt on a personal level because they probably have been through that where they feel they're supposed to do something with their life and they can't. Someone's just telling them no all the time.
That's crazy. It's too hard. But, you know, and I love that the rest of the team is rallying for him. When you see Lim meet eyes with him, she's got the remorse in her soul. And, you know, that scene where Park, Claire, and Morgan were talking. We're seeing Morgan back to her old ways.
Oh, my gosh. I have some thoughts on Morgan this episode.
I was like, girl, like, you know, she's cutthroat. And we saw a little bit more on that. But I love Claire because there was even that moment in the surgery room when, you know, Shaun did make the finding and cleared things up. I just think the way she turned and looked at him, there was so much love in her eyes. Like I love you. Like, thank you. You know, and it was just, it's powerful because all you can see is the eyes, but I could just feel it. Like, she was so proud and happy and like, thank you, Shaun, you know? And so just her like, well, what should we do? And they're just like, well, we don't need to all lose our jobs just to, but I like that she's thinking on that level, like, this is not right.
Exactly. And I want to give a shout out to Kayla Johnson in the chat who says, I feel like Dr. Han is very stubborn and highly egotistical.
Ooh, egotistical. Yes.
I mean,
stubborn.
Yeah. I feel like he doesn't kind of maybe like that all the doctors are coming to Shaun's defense. I feel like he doesn't like people undermining his authority.
You know, I really think, and hopefully this is something we have 2 episodes. Well, no, we have 1 more episode.
We have 1 more episode after this.
So I'm going to need them to clear this up or, you know, whatever it's going to be. But I'm hoping that we see something clear up here. Maybe he has a point. I want to give him the little bit of the benefit of the doubt because they brought him in. He's here. He's doing his thing. He does have his methods now. And I don't want to get off topic, but he has his methods.
I think we should dive into that real quick because I thought that was sketchy. What did you think?
I thought it was boss. Now,
really?
I love someone that can move. So when the show opened and he was just kind of like, oh, so I love somebody that can go toe-to-toe with, like, you want to come up here and judge? What he did was broke down what judgment was. Then he was like, well, since we're going to be in a judgment room, I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same playing field. So if we're going to be judging for indiscretions and things that happen that are odd at times that don't make sense, then we should all be in the same playing field. So I've got investigators that have looked at y'all, so we're going to talk about your stuff. Because how can you judge me when you got stuff? So are we talking about judgment here? Oh, it went from just being a conversation, to now it's a trial. The way he played that, to me, that said a lot about his character. That's how you protect your team. Sometimes I think that's how you have to play, and he is a smart man. Han changed that was great. I wish I could do things like that.
I give it to him that he's a smart man, and I'm glad that I got your perspective on that, Jaimi, because originally I saw that as, wow, this is a little over the top. You know, we love Shaun, we love Lim and Melendez, but they did, you know, have some struggles during that quarantine. So it was kind of a lingering storyline where we were expecting something to happen.
Right. And
so at first I was like, this is a little sketchy. You're hiring investigators to go after these people.
Right.
But I got like I like your perspective on it because it's true. Maybe, you know, if they're supposed to be the authority figures in judging, they should, you know, be clean themselves, I guess.
Yeah. I love it. He shut it down. I like literally want to watch that scene again and take notes because to me, I think that's how you do it. For me, that literally solidified like, okay, I might not like some of the stuff he's doing, but I rock with Jackson on that. Mr. Han, I rock with you. I mean, because that was cool, boy. Did he shut him down? That was awesome. I got excited.
So Shaun is obviously dealing with a lot during this entire trial, but the one thing that, you know, there's one person that is trying to make him feel better, and that is Leah.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I was gonna say, what do you think about Leah trying her best to be a good friend?
Well, my first thoughts is Leah has a different set of life experiences. So at times I see myself like Shaun, and at times I see myself like Leah. Like, life takes us through so many things where, you know, sometimes, okay, you have to move or quit the job, or sometimes you don't get what you want, and some people can just feel very much like, well, the next thing will probably, they can let loose and let go of experiences. Shaun is a different person. He has a different mindset, and I think, you know, just, yeah, his life experiences led him in a different direction. I can see why Leah thinks like that. She takes it very light. I was almost thinking in the beginning when they were eating, like, she almost takes it too light. Sometimes you kind of can't knock people for the way they feel. And not like she was knocking him, but I just think she was kind of like, oh, you're still on that? Like, and this is a very serious thing for him.
Yeah.
So she's just different. But I think she has a good perspective, but it's very different.
Yeah. I think she's just someone who doesn't see all the little details that's happening behind the scenes, obviously, because she's not a resident or a surgeon at the hospital. I think in her mind, she's thinking, oh, Shaun is doing almost the exact same thing. He's just not physically operating on someone. And in her mind, she's probably thinking, that's great. Why wouldn't you want to do that? But obviously, with Shaun, it's a huge difference. And obviously, as a viewer, we see the difference.
Yeah. And she even brought up the detective thing, which I think they obviously intentionally wrote in just because maybe that is a strength of Shaun's, like being able to look at the whole picture and almost like a detective find that thing that nobody else saw. So it's interesting that she saw it that way as well. Maybe there's something to that Shaun will catch on to. Yeah. I don't know. But they keep dropping that nugget, first with Carly and then with Leah.
But I mean, speaking of detective work, Shaun basically fixed this entire surgery. He was the hero that came to the rescue. He came with the winning plan, and then, you know, he tries to stand up for himself at the very end, and he still gets shot down, which leads to the very, very emotional ending scene. Jaimi, what did you think? Craziness.
I mean, I just felt so bad. First of all, I'm glad I like how we saw a different perspective to his visions that he gets, because this time it was like how to win friends and influence people and quotes like that when he saw Han in line. So I like that he really put his mind to not giving up, because he realizes this is for real something he doesn't want. No, like for real. He doesn't want this. For real, for real. So I'm glad he went that far, but that breakdown just broke my heart. I was crying, and of course I had to do my makeup over. Oh my God, you guys. Because I understand having to fight something that you just can't change. And when that type of life change is forcing you to change yourself, there's going to be a breakdown. I've experienced many where it's just like, this isn't going to change, so now I have to change. And this is not what I wanted. And that's what he kept shouting and shouting, and I thought that was very fair. I did not like how Han was like, basically, if I got to call the authorities up here or fire you, this is really, this is hard.
It is very hard.
I don't even know what to say.
It's very hard. It was incredibly emotional. Like, I was on the verge of tears. It was just so sad because, yes, like you're saying, Jaimi, Shaun doesn't want this. He knows he is meant to be a surgeon. And I think the thing with Shaun is that something like standing up for himself and trying to fight for what he wants is kind of new to him. Obviously, he had to fight to get his place in the residency when the series first started, but this is obviously something completely different. And I feel like because it's the first of something, it is big. You know, kind of whenever he learns something, for example, communicating, his communication skills are not the sharpest for the first time, and then as he starts realizing, okay, I need to be better, then he starts growing. This is the first time that he's really had to stand up for himself, and he's broken down. So of course it's going to be very big, very emotional, maybe even over dramatic and immature in Dr. Han's eyes.
Right.
Which kind of brings back my other point is, did you think that it was, I don't want to say overdone, but do you think that it was a reasonable breakdown, his raw emotion, how big he went?
Absolutely, because I'm big like that. And I used to suppress being big like that because I didn't want to be too loud. I didn't want to offend people. I didn't want people to think I was crazy. Then years started going by and I was like, you know what? I got something to say. Like, if you do not say what you need or what you mean, you don't want to leave anything for loose interpretation. You want to stand up. We only live once. I believe everybody should be doing what they want to do with their time. that's what we're here for, and I understand that there's struggles and things, but I think it was very valid. It is, I guess you can say, a little immature if you're looking from the perspective, like, I think of a kid. If I tell you can't have candy because it's 8 o'clock, you can't have candy.
Yeah.
I don't care what little tears you got in your eyes. I don't care how much you yell at me. You're just going to have to get over it and go to bed. Good night. You know what I'm saying? So in that, I understand, but we're not talking about kids and candy. We're talking about surgeons, careers, hospital, autism. We're talking about these big, rich adult things. So all that to say, yeah, I think it was justified, and I'm not mad that he went there. I think everybody should be cool with expressing how they feel. He didn't put his hands on him, you know?
Exactly. You're never going to get anywhere if you don't express how you feel. Shaun was never going to possibly be able to be a surgeon again if he didn't try standing up for himself, and that's exactly basically what Glassy said last episode, is you need to stand up for yourself. You need to let him know that you don't want to be in pathology, that you want to be a surgeon. And I think we should move on to something that a lot of people in the chat are talking about, such as Starcloak, who is mentioning the scalpel. The scalpel.
Just to see, I'm telling you, the tears, y'all. When he broke that, I'm just like, no, because I started thinking of that made me think of his brother, the bus they were in when his brother, I think it was, fell, died, like everything. I'm like, they don't know the nuances and layers of why, and that's why even when Shaun was like, you don't understand. And I get how so much is tied. This is the part that makes me think it's good and bad. So much of his identity is tied to that little scalpel. Who he is, who he became, his brother, this, that, and the other, all the things he had to overcome. And yeah, unfortunately, sometimes life has to break us out into something new, and it's just so painful. So again, we go season 3. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't see this being wrapped up by next week, but I hope to see that if this is where things are going to stick, we see something wildly positive come from it. Please. Because y'all are, I can't be crying every week. I can't be crying. This hurts. I don't even know Shaun, and this hurts.
I mean, we know Shaun, in a sense. We watched him for 2 seasons.
Yeah, you know. So, I mean, what would you say? Like, what do you think about outbursts like that? Or do you think he was out of control?
No, I thought he was completely justified. As I was mentioning, you know, everyone handles situations like that their own way. Yeah. And I think just Shaun, that was just his way of expressing, you know, he was so sad and just so upset and probably felt like Han wasn't listening, and that's something that actually Renji90998 in the chat is saying is Han just wasn't really listening to Shaun. That's why he just kept shouting, thinking he'll actually listen, which is true. It felt like, yeah, Han had made up his mind and he wasn't ready to change it after the one encounter, which again, you know, one and done, does that really count? I don't know. I don't know how it works in the actual medical field if it's one and done.
What do you mean by one? Like the fact that he had a win with the tumor thing?
No. One and done is in the one mistake Shaun kind of made in interacting with the patient. That one episode is what made Han be like, nope, get out of here, go to pathology.
Yeah, he judged him on that fully.
Yeah.
Which is mortifying because, to be honest, we only have one time to make a good first impression, and that can happen in the real world too. Can you imagine, like, coming off to a casting director or whatever you're interested in wrong and having to redeem yourself?
Yeah.
It'd probably look a little bit like what Shaun is doing. Like, and God bless Claire for being there, because that's what just broke. I'm just like, if anybody understands, she does. Her heart is so big. She's rallying for him and willing to put herself on the line. And just to have her come in and help, I just think her sitting there, her presence, her holding space for him was...
Something that I loved about Claire and that I think I see in all of the other residents and surgeons is Han constantly brings up to them, oh, you have his back because you're biased, because you know him. Yes, it's true. Right. They know him, but that also means that they've seen him grow. They knew exactly what he was like at the very beginning when Dr. Glassman brought him in. He wasn't as experienced. He wasn't, you know, as grown as he is now. So as much as they could be like, yeah, I'm biased because I know him, they could also be like, well, you haven't seen him grown. You haven't seen where he started. You don't know where he can go in 3 years, because that's what's left of their residency.
You better tell him, Veronica.
Hey,
you better get in there and let him know.
I'm on fire right now.
Seriously. No, that's so
It's true.
It is.
Oh my gosh, it's just so true. So on my last question, as we see Shaun just getting completely wet in the rain as he stands there all sad and lonely, I present you this question. Do you think Shaun could leave and go to another hospital.
I mean, I was hoping when he was yelling like that and Han still wasn't listening, I was kind of hoping he'd be like, I quit. I'm done. Because it's torture at this point. Like, even like I said, is leadership. I like to think I've learned things about being a great leader, and I just believe you need to listen. And unfortunately, sometimes you don't like being questioned as a leader, but it's still part of your duty, not really to baby people through it, but listen and then respond.
Exactly, because you might be the leader, but you're not always going to be right. There are obviously. There are obviously people, you're part of a team for a reason because everyone has different thoughts and different ideas and different solutions. So just because you're the leader and you make the calls doesn't mean you're not going to know everything. And you need to be prepared for that, which I don't think he is.
I don't think so either, clearly, because it was like, and then that fight not fight, that's so dramatic, but the little argument between him and Melendez where he's like, Paige.
Ooh, I saw that's fire.
Yeah.
I saw it as fire.
Yes. Page him. No, don't. Like, why are you playing when somebody's on the table? Stop. Because he came in there and got it done. Shaun came in and got it done. Melendez is also somebody, like, it's my patient. And I should be able to, and I love Melendez standing up. But then Han to be like, well, I'm overseeing. There's just a lot of ego. You're right, fire. This is like that fire spitting. This is a lot back and forth.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up the kind of tension going on in the operating room. I think this case was very big, obviously, and very shocking when it first very shocking when it first became presented in the episode. So I think we should go on to that. But before we go into that, everyone, Jaimi has a very special announcement for you all.
I do. Hey guys, you AfterBuzz fans, thank you so much for being a part of us. We are the ESPN of TV talk, and we have after shows for all kinds of shows, from reality to sci-fi to drama. Whatever it is, we've got you guys covered. So we definitely need your help, because for us to grow, we need you to help us grow. So if you're on YouTube right now, subscribe to this channel, give us a thumbs up. If you're into comedy or anything else, give us a thumbs up on those channels as well. And if you happen to be listening on iTunes, how about 5 stars? Let us get that 5 stars real quick if you love what you're hearing. And we just wanted to say thank you again. If you guys want to leave comments, please join the discussion. We're so happy to shout you out when you do. We love reading what you have to say. And thank you again for supporting everything that we love to do here. We're excited to grow. We're excited to have you here. And just because here we are talking about shout outs, I'm going to give a shout out to a few fans that have been rocking with us. So thank you so much, Hot Johnny, and that's Hot Haute. Michelle Fitzgerald, thank you so much, you guys, for joining the conversation. And Paula Arciega, thank you. It's a little shout out for you guys, and thank you guys all for being a fan of AfterBuzz. We love you.
Yes, thank you so much. I actually wanted to give some shout outs to our fans who are currently in our live chat. So just a quick shout out to Frank S., Starcloak, Kayla Johnson, Jenna Smolka, Renji 90998, and Big C324. Those are just a few. If you're also in your chat, I didn't see your name, I apologize, but I would give a shout out to you. But thank you so much for getting involved in our conversation. You guys are coming up with some great points. I am loving everything that I am seeing right now.
Yes, thank you guys. Love it.
All right, let's go into this patient case. Okay, so basically, they're like...
Oh my goodness, it's a lot.
Poor Kenny has a 100-pound tumor, like, sprouting from his back?
I can't, because you know what? I was eating, and I wasn't really expecting that. I'm sorry, I have a weak stomach, but when they unveiled that, I was just like, what is that going on? Girl, they were saying it was wrapped around his whole torso.
Yeah.
That's why they had to flip him over in surgery, the front to the back, covered. But healthy. Strange.
I mean, see, I love the fact that you brought up healthy, because that was the main thing I took away from that when this whole kind of pre-surgery thing was going down, because they were like, what's the point of, like, we can't operate because you'll bleed out, but so long as your heart's healthy, you're healthy. And I'm like, he's not healthy. He can't walk. He's got this 100-pound tumor just on him. He can't walk. He can't get exercise. He'll be a homebody, and he won't be physically healthy, and he won't be mentally healthy, because he'll be trapped inside, and if he goes outside, he'll be completely judged. So it's weird, because they're like, your heart's healthy, you're healthy, we don't want to ruin your life. But in his mind, he's like, I don't have a life. I'm not going to be healthy.
Right. That was a powerful scene, too. That kind of made my eyes water, because I didn't know if by the end of the show he was gonna like commit suicide or something, because he's basically like, I'm not living with this, so y'all better figure it out. Like, I'm not gonna continue to live with this. He really broke down and kind of went off too. Not crazy, but he was just strong about, I don't basically really want to be here like this. How, you know?
Yeah, he had a very distinct idea of how he wanted to live out the remainder of his life, and it didn't have this tumor in his future. And the fact that the doctors were like, we can't really do anything until Shaun comes and saves the day kind of happens.
Yeah.
So let's all also kind of go into Morgan, because I love how in the beginning you said Morgan. We're seeing good old classic Morgan.
Yes.
Obviously, throughout the season, we have seen more to her character. We have seen the more depth to her character and gotten little glimpses of her background.
Yes.
But this episode brought us right back to OG Morgan, where she is highly competitive, kind of rude. And I love the fact that, you know, she's a kiss-up. But Dr. Han and everyone sees right through it. I loved Claire's comment of, what was it? She's not staying because she wants to research. She wants to stay so Dr. Han can see her and knows that she's staying. Like, I loved it.
We all know somebody like that. We got to give them an A for their efforts, but dang, they're annoying. It's annoying. Like, relax.
Yeah.
But it, like you said, it was good that Han came in and was like, I see you. You're working. Go home. Like, I don't need this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that he saw right through it. And a part of me is just like, I don't know why she kind of has to do it. I guess she just wants to get ahead. She just wants to be the one seen out of all the residents, basically.
Well, I mean, it's a part of her character, because there was even a moment where Dr. Han was like, well done, Dr. Brown. And you could see Morgan look instantly. Because remember when he caught her staying late, Brown came in and had a resolution with Park. Claire and Park came in and was like, look, we can do this. And so at the operating table, when, you know, Han gave her props, you could just see Morgan look real quick and be like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah, she felt totally bummed out that she wasn't getting credit for any of this.
Maybe we'll find out personally why. Like, did her parents never give her accolades? Because there's really people like this who, and I understand it, because I feel like at one point in my life, I was like that. I can have like a perfectionist overachiever type thing. And it's like, when I'm kicking butt and I know I'm doing a good job and you tell me, I'm excited. It's like, good, I'm doing my job. But that's not really healthy. Everybody's here to do a good job. Everybody's great. You know, don't overextend yourself to be great. Be real, be true. And maybe we'll find out. Maybe her parents didn't accept her, or maybe some other time we'll find out why Morgan is like that. Because I think it's a symptom of a deeper rooted issue.
And speaking of Claire kind of coming up with a potential resolution to have the surgery, which originally wasn't going to happen, do you think she felt guilt a little bit towards the middle of it? Because there obviously came a point in the middle where they were like, oh, our time got cut in half because it's not working out like we thought we did. Do you think she felt guilt because she put the patient up to a surgery she thought was going to do well?
Probably, but we definitely see this every episode where there's that gulp moment where it's like, ooh, are they gonna, what's going on?
Is it gonna go okay? Yeah.
I have never seen, and so I expected at this point, when they're on the operating table and they're like, good job. I'm expecting to hear do, and something going wrong, you know? So I think for a moment she was kind of like, oh crap, this was like, oops, I feel so bad, you know? All of the emotions you think you could go through if you think you really messed up. So I absolutely think she did for a moment feel that way. And I can't remember, was that the moment that they wanted to bring Shaun in? Because I think that's when she was about to turn around and go get him too. And she ended up going to grab him, right?
They didn't show it, but I'm very curious on what the conversation was like to actually get Shaun in the operating room. Because clearly we saw the tension of Melendez saying, like, this is my patient, and the dynamics between Melendez and Han as surgeons. Han was obviously very against it, so I'm very curious on what the conversation was like to just be like, he's coming in. Or if Melendez was just like, he's coming in, I don't care.
Right. Exactly. So who overrode who, or who backed down? I would like to know as well. Let's get some outtakes.
Let's get some ideas going on in the chat. What do you think that conversation was like? And while all of this first chunk that we talked about was some very serious, very sad news, we got great news this episode because Dr. Glassman is cancer-free.
Whoop, whoop. Go, Glassy. It's your birthday. We're excited.
Woo!
Hey!
Like,
love it.
Love it.
Thank you.
This has been
that's great.
It's been such a journey, especially because he's also been like a roller coaster where, you know, he had cancer, he had surgery, he went to chemo, and then his cancer came back, and then it turned out not to be cancer, and now he went through chemo again. So he's been on a very big roller coaster, and it's so excited that it's done. He's okay.
And see, so what I'm seeing in Glassman could possibly be a reflection of what's happening with Shaun. Because Glassman's hard up, and we've fought with him for 2 seasons. Like, with he's been great, but he's got this, you know, stubbornness too. And to see him melt like this and really be in tune with his heart, like having the cancer changed him for the better.
It did.
And we learned that when he gave Dr. Blaze the ball. Because she asked him, you think 11 months ago you would have came up with such a gift? And, you know, it was just very touching.
Obviously, he was a mentor to Shaun, and he had a really strong personal relationship with Shaun, but I feel like he's always kind of been of a standoffish guy. Like, maybe he didn't have too many close relationships when he was healthy, and kind of what he went through with cancer, I feel like it's going to open him up more as a person. He's going to be more willing to talk to people, to interact with people that he normally wouldn't.
And don't we want to see that? He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. The more people he can connect with is great. Because I can tell you now, as soon as the thing opened up, the scene, I'm like, Glassman's ready to kick it. He's trying to get Dr. Blaze out. He was trying to hang out with the other girl. He's like...
Honestly, I like the fact that you brought that up, because I wanted to ask you, do you think...
That was a great scene.
But do you think he was asking her out romantically, or if he was just trying to show his gratitude?
I think he was just trying to show his gratitude. He's just trying to kick it. I know how that feels. Don't y'all sometimes just want to get out? You know what I mean? And
he has big news to celebrate and no one to celebrate it with.
Yeah. So
it's sad.
Exactly. And that's a great point. So maybe that's something that will come up. And maybe, again, that's why the cancer is, you know, ended up being some beautiful chaos for him, because he's a great guy, and him opening up and sharing something like the story of that ball, like, I wanted to give you something that meant something to me. Y'all just, I can't be crying like this all week, because that was very powerful. And I want him to live out the rest of his life with his heart that open. Yeah. And maybe it took cancer to get him there.
I really want to see this Glassy keep going forward. I'm very excited to see that. Yeah. And Starcloak in the chat has a great theory asking, will Glassman work again? I think that's something we can probably bring up in predictions, because I'm also kind of curious if we could see that in season 3.
And I have an idea or prediction on that myself. So yeah, let's talk about that in predictions. Great one, girl. Yes. Yeah. Well, if you're a girl, because I didn't read the name, but whatever. You know what I'm saying.
But before we go into predictions, let's talk about kind of this last big storyline that happened in this episode with Lim and Melendez.
They are so cute.
They are very cute. I loved the whole beginning scene that opened up them.
They are hilarious.
Where they thought Shaun totally saw them. Like, guys, Shaun did not see you.
And I love how Shaun's standing on the corner just being Shaun. Like, it's just...
completely oblivious to everything else that's going on.
They cracked me up. I wrote something down, because this is the kind of banter I would like with my boo. But she was like, and don't be smiling at me in the halls. And he's like, but I smile at everybody. I'm a nice guy. Like, so their little banter back and forth is so cute. Like, boy, you better stop playing with me, especially at work. So they're super cute.
Were you nervous this episode that something could possibly turn out for the worse, because Lim became so paranoid that Shaun was going to spill their secret?
No, because they're in it together. And that's why I like Melendez, because he acts like a real man, and he shows that he's there for her. He's not just playing around. Like, even him double checking with Shaun, he's like, you know, I don't have a girl. Like, I don't have a girlfriend. Has anything you've seen contradicted that? You know, so he's got her back in his own little way, and I don't think she has anything to worry about. But she was in sketch mode, and it was really cute.
It was really cute. It was really funny. But I also feel like it was so funny when she went up and confronted Shaun if he knew. I was like,
hilarious.
I feel like Shaun would have brought it up to you. He's not exactly the most like secretive person. He is very blunt, and if he saw you, he'd be like, why are you guys kissing in the car or something like that, you know?
And that's what made it so funny, because they messed with them during the whole episode when, you know, they were having that moment, and they first of all, I love the way Shaun was looking and the way she was looking at him. That had me, I was legit laughing out loud. But then when Han called him in to give him the news about what happened.
So suspicious.
Yeah, because right when they walked in, Shaun gave him the motion to like sit down. And it really made it seem like Shaun had said something about, because of the way he was acting. So I was just cracking
If I was in their shoes, I would be super paranoid too.
Yeah, of course. But again, what I love about this is seeing the beauty of the other side. And I don't think it's a bad idea that this situation scared them into walking into Andrew's office. Like, let Andrews know what's going on. Like, this was a time for you guys to kind of define your relationship a little bit and go to the next level, which is make what you're doing known. And I thought that that was dope.
I love the fact that that's what they decided on, especially after Laura, Lim's friend, who was the other patient case this episode with the whole baby thing, which guilt, I know we talked about Claire feeling guilt. I'm sure Dr. Lim feels so much guilt for thinking that her friend could do that could abuse her young baby.
Right.
But I loved that scene between them where Laura just kind of stuck it to Lim and told her, you don't understand what you know love. Like, you're so afraid to be loved. You're so afraid to commit, and you just don't understand it. I think that was something that she needed to hear because, she has something good and she obviously doesn't want to ruin it by her own insecurities.
Yeah, and so I wrote this part down because it was loud when Laura was talking. She said, you always expect the worst in people because that's all you see in yourself. That's
yeah.
Wake up, sis. Like, that's hard. And I do think, not to a fault, but I do think Lim does have a little bit of that in her. And again, things come to the surface so we can address them. So sure, she messed up. It sucked having her friend dragged off. That's got to be gut-wrenching, honestly. But look what came from it, a chance for her to look in the mirror and move forward differently.
Yeah.
I guess that's just life. We need that sometimes.
What I really liked, and this was a very tiny little thing that I tuned into, but what I liked was the fact that it was Laura who was a mother with her young baby, and I liked that Lim kind of was like, oh yeah, my kid will like go to kindergarten on a Ferrari
or
Ducati or something like that.
motorcycle.
But I liked the small instance where she was like, my baby, as in like she's open to having kids, which we know from Melendez's previous relationship.
yeah.
That was a really
Good
big
catch.
deal. Yeah, I tuned into that and I was like, okay, good. So she's open to that, which means that this relationship can continue to flourish because that was what stopped his last relationship. And so I'm happy that they kind of threaded that in there. I don't know if that was intentional, but I tuned into that.
Of course, I'm sure it was, but that's brilliant that you caught that because that's true. And so I guess I'm sure we'll see more from that, just the fact that she's open to it. So that's really good.
But I'm so excited that they're going public with their relationship.
Yeah.
The one thing that I am curious about is I saw this in another TV show. I don't necessarily know if this is true in any true life workplaces, and anyone in the chat, if it is, please let us know. I'm so curious. What I saw in the show was that two coworkers that decided to date had to like sign paperwork and kind of just like agree like, oh, we're dating, but we're going to keep it very professional and stuff like that.
Interesting.
I don't know if that's a thing in the real life workplace. Again, if it is, let us know because I'm curious. And so I'm just kind of curious of how the work camaraderie is going to change. I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either because of who we're dealing with. Now, Andrews, I think that's something he can handle, but I don't know about Han getting that information.
Oh my gosh, he's
That's
already
what
so judgy. I can't imagine what he'll say when that comes out.
Yeah.
I think everybody else would be fine and be supportive.
Yes.
He would be judgy though.
Yeah, and so there might be some problems there. I can't really see him being cool with that just because he is, we're seeing how he reacts to what people do, and he's making instant judgments and running with it. So he doesn't know Lim and Melendez or their strengths or how far they've come separately or how strong they are in that. They wouldn't dare let, something like their relationship,
Affect
exactly their work. But try telling him that, I don't know.
Dr. Han got introduced very late into the season, but I'm very curious to kind of see where he goes in the last episode that we get next week, because our finale is next week. So as we wrap up tonight's episode, before we go into predictions, Jaimi, final thoughts? Great episode? Good?
Just great episode. All of the little one-on-one scenes were just beyond brilliantly written. It was just so great and so layered. So just like kudos to the writers, to everybody involved. It was just bomb. I was very impressed. So
same. I agree. I thought this episode was all over the place, but in a great way.
Perfectly.
Because I got to feel every kind of emotion. Yeah. I got to see I got to see a lot of different storylines going on. And so I'm very pleased with it. I'm very excited to see what happens next week. So let's get into some rapid fire predictions.
AfterBuzz TV.
Let's see. Predictions. Well, I'm gonna be honest. I can't say I saw. Did I see a trailer for next week? I don't think I did. I don't think I caught it. So these predictions are off the top of my head, but I definitely think we'll see something with Glassman unfold. Something very personal, loving. I don't know if he's gonna go back to work, but I thought maybe this will be the time he decides to enjoy his life, because his previous life was all about work. So that's what I was gonna say on that. I would like to find out if Shaun quit. Did he walk out? Did he get fired? Is he coming back? Is he going to sit in pathology?
Well, just to kind of add on what you're saying, I did see the preview for next week, and Shaun actually ends up in the hospital. Like, he has a breathing tube on and everything.
Okay, so he broke all the way down.
So he ended up back in the hospital, technically.
Technically, yeah. And then I think that things with Lim and Melendez are going. I think, you know what? I think Andrews might tell them to keep it quiet. Just because he's not sure. I don't think he has a problem with it, but I think he might make them wait, and I don't know why that. It
might cause like a stir or something, like right unnecessary drama with everything else going on.
We have a lot going on, so I don't know if we need to present that right now. So
I liked the idea being presented of Glassy going back to work. I don't think so. I think, because he would basically have to take back like Andrew's job, and Andrew's far too comfortable, honestly.
Yeah.
I think Glassman is just gonna enjoy his new life, like you were saying, Jaimi. I think Lim and Melendez are going to flourish in their relationship. I don't think that there's any reason to worry that they might, split in the next episode, granted everything that happened this episode. Right. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Michelle Fitzgerald, who commented, I think Han should create a position for Shaun that allows him to follow up issues he sees in the pathology lab with a surgical team if he feels it's necessary.
That's what I was saying last week. Like, can they create a new position for him that allows him to be a liaison between the two? Good one. I agree.
I know. There's so many predictions we can get into. Honestly, we're just going to wait for the finale to see if any of them are right. So that is all the time we have for tonight, everyone. Jaimi, where can the fans find you on social media?
Hey, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And you can find me, Jaimi Alexander, at Jaimi Alexander on Instagram.
And I'm Veronica Valencia. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at It's Me, Veronica_V. Thank you so much again for tuning in tonight. Be sure to tune in next week for The Good Doctor Season 2 finale. Bye. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.